the world's great novels. The NBC University of the Air presents the second installment of a two-part radio edition of Alessandro Manzoni's novel of 17th century Italy, The Betrothed, the story of the love of the youth Renzo for the pretty Lucia, another in the series of books that live, the world's great novels.
In the first episode, we saw how Renzo and Lucia, prevented from being married by the evil designs of Don Rodrigo, were forced to flee from their native village in Italy. And then, kidnapped, Lucia was freed by a miracle in which God touched the heart of Count Rivola, her captor. In 1628, the year of our story, Italy was invaded by German troops, and so soon found herself being ravished by the dreaded plague. Sickness and death began rapidly to multiply, and in the city of Milan, among others, the dead could be seen scattered here and there, on the streets or in doorways or lying in heaps, making the whole city like one immense sepulchre. Renzo also took the plague, but he cured himself. That is to say, he did nothing. He was at the point of death, but his good constitution conquered the strength of the malady. And in a few weeks, he was out of danger. And with the return of life, its cares, its wishes, hopes, recollections, and designs were renewed with double poignancy and vigor, which is to say that he thought more than ever of his beloved Lucia. But they had lost track of each other's whereabouts. What had become of her? Where was she? Did she still live?
To remain in this state of uncertainty is unbearable. I must find her. Oh, if she lives, I'll find her, that I will. And if she is dead,
Leaving Milan, Renzo at last managed to return to his own village, from which some 20 months before he had fled in despair. During the bread riots in Milan just before the Great Plague, Renzo had, though completely innocent, become involved in one of the disturbances and been arrested. With the aid of the mob, he had escaped, but not before he'd been recognized. A warrant was issued for his arrest and circulated through the district. Thus, when he reached his own village, he was almost a fugitive, though the plague had done much to remove the danger of his situation. It was evening as he arrived, and turning a corner in the road, he came face to face with his old curate, Don Abbondio.
Are you here? You?
I am indeed, Signor Curato. Do you know anything of Lucia?
Oh, what do you suppose I can know? I know nothing.
And her
But
mother,
you-
Agnesa? Is she alive?
She may be, but who do you suppose can tell? She's not here.
Where is she?
But she's gone to live at Valsicina among her relations at Pastoro, you know. For they say the plague doesn't make the havoc there it does here.
Oh, I'm very
But
sorry.
you-
And Father Cristoforo?
He's been gone for some time.
I know that. They wrote and told me as much. But I want to know if he has returned to these parts.
Nay, they've heard nothing further about him.
Oh, I'm
But
very
you-
sorry to hear this,
But
too.
you, I say, what for heaven's sake are you coming to do in this part of the world? Don't you know about this affair of your arrest?
What does it matter now? The plague has given them something else to think about. And most of them are dead anyway by now. I was determined to come for once and see about my affairs.
And what would you see about, I wonder? For now there's no longer anybody or anything. And is it wise of you, with that business of your arrest, to come hither exactly to your own village, into the wolf's very mouth? Do as an old man advises you. Buckle on your shoes well and set off before anyone sees you. Do you think this is the air for you? Don't you know they've been to look for you? They've ransacked everything and turned all upside down.
I know it too well, the scoundrels.
But then
But I tell you, I don't care. And is that rascal Don Rodrigo alive yet? Is he here?
I tell you, nobody's here. I tell you, you mustn't think about things here.
I ask if Don Rodrigo's here.
Oh, sacred heaven, speak more quietly. Is it possible you've all that fieriness about you after so many things have happened?
Is he here or is he not?
Well, he's here.
Oh.
But the plagues, my son, the plague. Who would go traveling about in such times as these?
If there was nothing else but the plague in this world. I mean, for myself, I've had it and am free.
Indeed, indeed. What news is this? When one has escaped a danger of this sort, it seems to me he should thank heaven.
And so I do.
And not go to look for others, I say. Do as I advise.
You've had it too, Signor Corrado, if I mistake not.
I had it. Obstinate and bad enough it was. I'm here by miracle. Now I had need of just a little quiet to set me to rights again. I was beginning to be a little better. In the name of heaven, what have you come to do here? Go back.
You're always at me with that go back.
Yes.
As for going back, I have reasons enough for not stirring. You say, what do you come for? What do you come for? I've come home.
Home?
But don't be afraid. I've no intentions of stopping here.
Oh, thank heaven you at last understand. And you'd better make up your mind to return.
That is my business. I'm more than 7 years old. I hope at any rate you won't tell anyone you've seen me. You are a priest. I am one of your flock. You won't betray me.
I understand. You would ruin yourself, and me too. You haven't gone through enough already, I suppose. And I haven't gone through enough either. I understand.
Muttering, fearful and peevish, Don Abbondio, the village priest, left poor Renzo, who stood chagrined and discontented, wondering where he could find a lodging. Thinking over the list of his erstwhile friends, he remembered one Tonio, and immediately made his way to where Tonio lived. It was twilight, and Tonio was seated outside his house, alone. Hearing a footstep, he turned around and called out through the leaves and branches,
"Is there nobody but me? Didn't I do enough yesterday? Let me alone a little, for that too will be a work of charity."
Tonio, it is I, Renzo. Don't you know me?
Renzo?
Yes, Tonio, my friend.
Is it really you?
Yes.
Oh, how glad I am to see you. Oh, who would have thought it? I took you for one of the friars of the Order of Death, who is always coming to torment me to go and bury someone dead of the plague. Do you know I am left alone? Alone as a hermit.
I'm sorry to hear it, Tonio. These are bad times. There is much sadness.
But come into the house, Renzo. Oh, it is good to see you again. Come in and let me fix you something to eat while you tell me how it is with you.
I have been through much. I've had the plague and recovered, as you can see. But now, please tell me if you have any news of my Lucia.
Lucia? Why could I know of her? She has not been seen here for...
But surely you have heard something. Tell me anything you may have heard, no matter how small.
Well, some days ago I did hear that she was in Milan.
Oh.
And that she is looking for you.
Oh, Milan, but I have just come from there.
Oh, what a pity you couldn't have known.
Oh, I must go back, Tonio.
Oh, but surely not tonight, Renzo. It's late. You are tired.
I am tired, yes, and Milan is far. But I shall never rest until I find Lucia. If I find her alive, I will return. But if I do not, which God forbid, then you will never see me again. Every tree under which I had once sat with Lucia would be too sad.
His friend Tonio tried to comfort him with bright hopes, and making him take with him some food, accompanied him a mile or two on his way, bidding him goodbye and telling him to inquire after his cousin in Milan who might know of Lucia. Meanwhile, unknown to Renzo, his arch-enemy Don Rodrigo had left his castle and gone to his residence in Milan, attended by his paid bodyguard, the outlaw Griso. One night soon after that, returning from a company of friends, he felt a languor and an inward burning fever.
Griso?
Yes, Don Rodrigo.
Light the lamps here in my room.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Well? Now what are you gawking at?
I am looking at you, Your Honor.
I'm in good health, as you see. It's only that I've taken perhaps a little too much wine to drink. That is all.
But your face seems oddly heated, Senor.
What of it?
That's from too much wine. Or this late hour of even the season. Good night's sleep, and it will go off.
Yes, sleep will do us all good, Your Honor.
Certainly. If I can sleep. After all, I am well enough. Yet this humming in my ears, what is that? This fire blazing within me.
Fire?
Something paining me here on my left side.
A pain, Your Excellency?
Yes. Bring the light closer. Let me look. Grito, look.
I am looking, Your Honor.
This hideous spot on my side. Livid purple.
Don Rodrigo. That is the pestilence you have.
But if anyone hears of it, they will carry me off and throw me into the lazzaretto with all the other dead and dying. I, Don Rodrigo, in a pest house, never. Grito, you have always been my trusted friend.
Yes, Signor.
I have always dealt well by you. Now I am ill.
I had perceived that.
Listen, Grito, if I recover, I swear I will heap upon you more favors than ever before. But now I dare not trust myself to anyone but... Grito, what are you doing there?
What am I doing here, Your Honor? I am about to break open the lock on this chest here.
Why, you infamous traitor, you mean to rob me?
Rob you? Can we call it that, Your Excellency? You will be dead shortly and quite unable to use money, whereas I, your faithful Griso, can use it nicely. Look, it is beautiful. Listen.
You scoundrel! I may still recover.
You are frantic, Your Honor. You who have tormented so many and paid me to do it for you, now you are afraid to die.
That's a lie. No, it isn't. I must live.
You are dying. And that little peasant girl, Lucia, who made your mouth water, now you will never possess her.
Water? I'm parched. The thirst can bear it no longer. Give me a drop of water.
A waste of my valuable time, Signor. And now I shall leave you, Your Magnificent Excellency.
Dog!
But before leaving, with your money, allow me to tell you that you are neither magnificent nor excellent.
Vilest traitor!
It does my kind heart good to see you there, already half dying. Well, goodbye, Your Magnificence.
But let us return to the young Renzo. After a long search, he at last found Tonio's cousin in Milan, from whom he hoped to learn more of Lucia's whereabouts.
She was here in this very house.
Here, Signor?
Yes, but she is here no longer. Now, if you will excuse me...
One moment, for pity's sake. She's no longer here, then where is she?
At the Lazzaretto.
The Lazzaretto? You mean with the pestilence?
Those who have it must go there, mustn't they? Now, I must ask you to leave. I'm a very busy man.
One more word for charity. Was she very ill?
Yes, of course. Everyone who has it is very ill, and thousands die of it. Step out, please, through the door.
Yes, Signor. But tell me, how long ago was it?
What difference does that make? If she is alive, she is alive. And if she's dead, she's dead. And nothing you can say or that I can say can change that. Goodbye.
But, Signor, one more question. Tell me if she...
But Renzo might as well have asked the very wall, for there was no reply. Anguished, he found his way to the enclosure of the Lazzaretto, peopled with 16,000 persons ill of the plague, crowded with the dead or dying stretched upon mattresses or bare straw. It was like the swell of the sea, people coming and going, some sinking under disease, others rising from their sick beds, either convalescent, frantic, or to attend upon others. Such was the spectacle that unfolded to Renzo's view, and he paused horror-struck and overpowered. Controlling himself, he began his search, threading his way amongst them, gazing upon their faces, contracted by spasms of suffering, or motionless in death. Hours passed. And then, suddenly ahead of him, he saw a Capuchin monk making the sign of the cross over one of the dying.
Father Cristoforo.
You here?
How are you, Father? How are you?
Better than the many poor creatures you see. But you, Renzo, how is it that you are in this place? What makes you come thus to brave the pestilence?
Oh, I've had it, thank heaven. But even if I had not, I would come, for I am seeking Lucia.
Lucia? Is Lucia here?
Yes. At least I hope in God that she may still be here.
Is she your wife?
My wife? No, that she is not.
Alas. Tell me about our poor little Lucia.
Through you, Father, she found haven at the convent. But from there she was kidnapped.
Kidnapped?
By the notorious Count Rivola. And then, by a miracle of God, he became devout and saved her and released her. And since then, she has been looking for me. And here I am to look for her.
My son, it is much that you come here to ask. A person alive within the lazzaretto. Do you know how many I have seen carried off, and how few go out recovered? So, my son, continue your search, but be prepared for what you may find.
I shall look from top to bottom of the lazzaretto. And if I don't find her...
If you don't find her, my son?
If I don't find her, then I shall know where to find somebody else. A man who hides from the plague in his castle, but cannot hide from me.
My son.
I shall find him, and I shall get justice.
Look about you, miserable man. See who is he that chastises. Who is he that judges and is not judged. He that scourges and forgives. And you would be the judge. I had hoped that before my own death, God would have given me the comfort of hearing that Lucia was alive. Perhaps of hearing that her promise that she would send one prayer to the grave where I shall soon be laid. Now you rob me of this hope. Now go. I've no longer time to listen to you.
Father, don't send me away like this.
What? Dare you require that I should steal the time from these afflicted ones who are waiting for me to speak to them of the pardon of God? To listen to your words of fury and revenge? What have I to do with you? Begone.
Father, I forgive Don Rodrigo. I forgive him indeed, and forever.
My son. Know you why I am a Capuchin monk?
Tell me, Father.
Because I, too, hate it. And that man whom I so long hated, I murdered.
Then he was a tyrant and you had reason.
Hush. Think you that if there were a good reason for it, that I shouldn't have found it in 30 years? Oh, if I could but instill into your heart the love I now have for the man whom I once hated. But God can, and may he do so. Listen, Renzo. Did you think that God would let you take vengeance upon a man whom he created in his own image? No, Renzo. Such a temper of mind as yours may deprive you of every blessing. Rest assured that you will be punished until you have forgiven. Forgiven in such a way that you may never again be able to say, I forgive him. Hate and you will be lost forever. Love, and let God be judge.
Yes, Father. I see that I have spoken like a beast and not like a Christian. By the grace of God, I will forgive him. I'll forgive him from my very heart.
And supposing you someday meet him, will you still forgive him?
With God's help, I will, Father.
Come with me, my son.
Taking Renzo's hand, he led the youth through the crowd until they came to the door of a miserable hut. Entering, Renzo beheld 4 of the ill lying upon straw. As he gazed at them, he suddenly recognized his enemy, Don Rodrigo, and he would have thought him a corpse had not convulsive twitchings revealed the tenacity of life.
There he is, my son. Bless him and be blessed.
Oh, God forgive him.
And now go and seek for Lucia. And however you find her, bless God and accept his reckoning. Then return to me.
Once again, Renzo resumed his terrible search for Lucia. All that day and the next. He'd almost given up hope when he found her. He found her, and she was attending one of the ill.
Lucia, I found you.
Renzo.
Oh.
Wait. Oh, you must go. Plague.
Oh, but I've had it.
Oh, and I too. But, oh, Renzo, why are you here?
Why am I here? Am I no longer Renzo? Are you no longer Lucia?
Renzo, forgive me, but when I was held captive by Count Rivola, I promised the Madonna that if I were saved, I would give up the world, everything, and go into a convent.
After your promise to me? Oh, are we no longer ourselves? Don't you any longer remember?
I was beginning to hope that in time you would forget me.
Fine thing to tell me to my face. No, Lucia. We must pray to God for those who are dying, but they who live should not be doomed to live in despair.
Yes, but Renzo, a promise to the Madonna, a vow.
And I tell you that yours is a promise that counts for nothing.
You know not what you are saying.
Yes. Don't you know what you ought to promise the Madonna? Promise her that the first daughter we have we'll name Maria. For that I am willing to promise also. That does honor to the Madonna and no harm to anyone.
You don't know what it is to make a vow.
Lucia, tell me just one thing. If there were not this reason, would you feel the same to me as ever?
You are heartless. You know very well that I, with all my heart... Oh, no. Please, Renzo. It is no use.
Listen, Lucia. Father Cristoforo is here. Maybe...
Father Cristoforo? Where? How do you know?
Oh, I've seen him and spoken with him just a little while ago.
Has he had the plague?
Oh, Lucia, I'm sadly afraid that he has it now.
Oh, poor man.
Lucia, I do not believe he would approve of this vow of yours that you made up out of your own head without advice from anyone. I'm going to bring him here and let him tell you how mistaken you are.
Go to that holy man and tell him that I pray for him and ask him to do so for me. But for heaven's sake, for your own soul's sake and mine, never come back here to tempt me again.
He left her to hasten back to Father Cristoforo, whom he found administering consolation to a dying man. Renzo drew back, waited in silence. In a few moments he saw the monk close the man's eyes, pray, then rise feebly. Renzo hurried forward to meet him.
Well, my son?
She's here. I found her.
In what condition?
Recovered.
The Lord be praised.
Oh, but there's another difficulty, Father.
What do you mean?
I mean that after all her promises to me and, well, after we were torn apart, she was captured by Count Rivola. And in terror, when she prayed for rescue, she made a vow of chastity to the Madonna.
Is she very far from here?
Just beyond the church there.
Come, we will go together.
You mean you'll give her to understand?
I know nothing about it, my son. First, I must hear what she has to say to me.
They set off without further words. And Renzo's heart was full of uneasy expectations as he compelled himself to slacken his pace to accommodate the feeble gait of Father Cristoforo. At last they rejoined Lucia.
Father Cristoforo. Oh.
Well, Lucia, from how many troubles has the Lord delivered thee?
Oh, but you, Father, you are ill.
No, as God wills. Lucia, are you inclined to confide in me as you have always done hitherto?
Oh, are you not always my father?
Then, my daughter, what is this vow that Renzo has been telling me about?
It is a vow I made to the Madonna, to give up the things of the world, even marriage, if she would save me from Count Rivola. And she saved me.
I understand. But did you not recollect at the time that you were already bound by another promise?
No. Not when it was related to the Madonna.
I see. My daughter, the Lord approves of sacrifices when we make them of our own, because it is the heart that he desires. And yet, you could not offer him the heart of another also, to whom you had already pledged yourself.
Have I done wrong?
No, my poor child. I believe the Holy Virgin will have accepted the intention of your afflicted soul and have presented it to God for you. But tell me, did you consult anyone about this?
No, Father.
So, have you any other motive that hinders you from fulfilling the promise you made to Lorenzo?
No, Father, nothing. But is it not a sin to turn back and repent of a promise made to the Madonna?
Lucia.
Be quiet, my son. A sin, my daughter? A sin to have recourse to the church and to ask me, her minister, to make use of the authority which the church has received from God? I bless him that he has given me the power to speak in his name and to return to you your plighted word. And if you request me to declare you absolved from this vow, I shall not hesitate to do it. Nay, I wish that you so request me.
Then I do request you.
Then return in peace to your former desires and beseech the Lord again for those graces you once besought to make you a holy wife. And rely upon it that he will bestow them upon you more abundantly after so many sorrows.
Renzo.
Love each other as companions on a journey, with the thought that you will have to part from one another, and with the hope of being reunited forever.
Yes, Father.
And, Lucia,
Yes, Father.
when I am gone, pray for me.
They parted from Father Cristoforo with deep sadness. But youth and love will prevail, and at last the blessed day arrived. Lucia and Renzo, as bride and groom, went to their own village church, where Don Abbondio himself finally declared them man and wife. Not long after, they went to live in another part of Italy, where they prospered greatly. And before the first year of their marriage was completed, a beautiful little creature was born. And as if it had been made on purpose to give Renzo an early opportunity of fulfilling that promise of his, it was a little girl. You may be sure that it was named Maria.
The Betrothed by Alessandro Manzoni is one of the world's great novels, brought to you each week by the NBC University of the Air. Listen next week to the first episode of The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. And remember that these and countless other great books are to be had in your local public library. Herbert Gorman's Handbook of the World's Great Novels is a valuable aid to enjoyment of these broadcasts. Just send 25 cents with your request to World's Great Novels, Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27, New York. That's Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27. The Betrothed was adapted for radio by Frederick Schlick. The music was composed by Emil Soderstrom, and the orchestra was directed by Bernard Berquist. The entire production was under the direction of Homer Heck. Bob McKee was the narrator. Renzo was played by Charles Mountain, Lucia by Joyce McCluskey, Abbondio by Arthur Peterson, Cristoforo by George Kluge, Don Rodrigo by Tony Parrish, Griso by Sherman Marks, Tonio by Ken Nordine, and The Cousin by Ted Liss. This is John Conrad. This program comes to you from Chicago and is a presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its independent affiliated stations. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.